Hello, guys. Welcome to the Trading Parrot and welcome to another episode of the weekly technical analysis private session for elite members from my Patreon. In this week, we have a big list of requests that have come from my members, starting with Solana, Aave, Ethereum, Sui, XRP, PNUT, ALGO, Say, Link, S, and AVAX, Cardano, Degen, ENS, Kaspa, CRV, and ONDO. That's a long list to do today. If you want to join these private sessions, which usually are reserved just for my members and they go public the day after, you can join by looking at the link in the description for my Patreon, and that's how you can get to vote for the coins that you want me to do TA. It's not just about requesting the coins, but also being able to join this cozy session with just a handful of members. Today we have 3 people joining the private session. Sometimes we just have 3, 10, 15, very small group, and you can ask all the questions. I have you right here and I can read your questions. So for example, if I'm doing TA and you want a specific focus or certain type of analysis related to liquidity pools or something that I'm missing, or you want to add something, you can do it. You can also join with the link to join me in the session, sharing your screen, using the microphone, the camera. If you want to ask something, just ask it in the chat in the live stream of YouTube and say that you want to join that thing. And I'm going to see you in the link and then I can invite you. All right, so let's get started. We have a lot of work to do today. So we got Solana in here that is currently doing the 3rd week attempt to break that 180. That is a tough resistance. You can see back in time in this area how many times we tried and failed, and we could say that the 4th time we managed. After that, it's been support, and now it's again resistance. So that is no surprise. And in terms of the RSI, we have done great progress. We have an internal breakout followed by a global breakout, and now we are on our way to the resistance from the ascending trend line, which, by the way, Ethereum hasn't managed to reach yet. Ethereum is around here on 46. I don't know if you watched my video from earlier where I did all the ratios. From the point of view of socials, Solana, Sui, Ethereum, all of these coins are very quiet at the moment. That quiet that we are about to reach the bottom end of the Bollinger Band applied to social metrics. This in this case, this is the social dominance calculated by LunarCrush, and that takes in consideration Twitter, YouTube, all Reddit, all social networks. So that means that this move in here has been so far led by big holders, long-term holders, institutions, and all of that, but not necessarily making a lot of noise in social networks, which means that retail is not necessarily enjoying this, seeing the price going in here. They are kind of missing out at the moment, I will say. And that stands not just for Solana, but for many other coins, even Bitcoin, I will say. So with Solana, let's see what comes next in terms of price targets if we manage to break that resistance in there. Of course, it's a strong resistance, so we shouldn't necessarily assume that we can break 180, but it's a tough resistance. 3rd week trying, and multiple times in here we couldn't do it. But if we did, we can get into $200 very easily. At those levels, we have some decent liquidations that have formed thanks to all the shorts accumulated during these 3 weeks. We'll look into those liquidations just in a second. Just remember, if it's the first time that you watch this stream, we got all this list. We got that list there. And I'm going to go a little bit slower with the first coins, and I'm going to start rushing in with the next ones. That's because this got a lot of votes. I assume that you want to know a lot more about Solana compared to the rest. If you want to change that, then you need to vote accordingly to give more importance to the ones that you really want a deeper analysis. Right. So I cover all of this in here, and I can go straight into liquidation pools. Let's see. This morning, I think we identified some levels that were going into the red. That's the 187. That is already attracting the price in this direction. And you can see that right after that, we have the 206. So all this area in here has done a great job during these 3 weeks accumulating shorts, making it very easy if Bitcoin breaks to the upside for Solana to do very similar things. So this serves as a way to understand what could be the magnitude of that move if we did similar things. So if Bitcoin takes bucket 1 and 2, which is 115, 125, very easy that we can break the $200 and start going even higher for Solana. And the pattern in here of the recovery is very impressive. I really like it. Although we need to be careful in here with this support because it's so perfect, the move like that it tends to come with some pullbacks along the way. Don't assume that the ride into $300 is just gonna be a channel like that, because that doesn't exist really, okay? And not because we don't go like that, it's not bullish. This is just impossible to sustain like that perfect. So we need to have some swings within the smaller swings, larger swings within the smaller ones, and that is important. And let's see what else I want to cover about Solana. If I wanted to go a little bit deeper, the highs are at around $300. uh, Pullbacks, yeah, I should cover that probably. Let's see, from the lows, let's get a line from this low in here, holding and protecting the rally. So I do that a lot to get the first line of support. I call the most bullish support, right? So if you connect all the pivots and you are here close to 53, you are closer to the most bullish support. That means that ideally we want to defend that to maintain strong momentum without any deeper pullback. If we start pinching that 53, then we say, okay, a little bit more sideways, and then we possibly can try again later. Remember that we are in here into a squeeze. As we approach the red, the orange, that those are weekly resistance levels, and we have this support in here. So there's going to be a squeeze incoming there, which I presume is already the 180, around that area. So if we go slightly higher, we meet immediately with that resistance. The red line is at 56. Let me see where I have located this. Let's move it back one, and that resistance is 190. And that coincides with those liquidation levels that we covered before. Any questions about Solana? Let me read the comments. We are ready. Good day. Hello, Mariano. Just a quick question about Cetus. I know it is not a TA territory, but what is your opinion because of the Oracle exploit and stolen pool? Uh, well, this is all about the. I mean, partially it's about the bridging, right? Because there's always risk cross chain. Those implementations, developers tend to be really good for their own chain, but when they need to do something cross chain, they step into the risk of something going wrong. And most of the hackers really know that, and they have exploited that now today. Sui CPO reported 2/3 of the stolen had freeze. So that's good news. 2/3 is a lot. If that's the case, that's good news. And we're going to get into Sui. I think it's the fourth coin, which is also affected partially because of the events. Specifically, Gabor, tell me what you want to know. What is your opinion of the Oracle display? In what sense? Do you mean if it's going to affect certain coin, if it's going to affect SUI, if it's going to affect the markets in general? And I come back to once you answer that. Samuel is saying, hello, Minneapolis. Um, with no retail present, how likely are we going to see a rotation to alts? That's a good question. Uh, that was funny. Rotation to alts. Yeah, that's a great question, because on Bitcoin, I'm not seeing a lot of participation when it comes to this particular rally. It seems to be pretty much led by institutions and market makers that are pretty much drawing the price lines that they want at the times they want with automation. That's how it feels when you see an organic breakout. The technicals are on our side. We understand everything that's going on. Like in this area in here, we were like a boss anticipating things. But in this rally in here, everything looks really manipulated with lack of retail and a lot of orders coming in automatically. As soon as the pattern is about to do something, they just smash everything. And they've been manipulating the price to produce all the way to the upside, like 100 inverse head and shoulders, that as soon as they break down, the price goes against it. And we say that the last time, and it did again the same, because they are trying to trap everybody in the wrong direction. Very annoying, actually. And I don't know if alts are really going to perform in an environment like that. I would like to see retail more involvement in Bitcoin, because that can ultimately translate into a rotation into alts that is more sustainable, that lasts longer than just 10 days that we have of altcoin season in the beginning of the year. I don't want to have another altcoin season of just 10 days. Hopefully, it's something more sustained, like 3 months will be amazing, like in 2021. Right. So let's go with the next coin, and let's go with Aave. It's already 12 minutes and just one coin. Aave is breaking the resistance of 242. That was support in the area of February. And let's remove the yellow in here, it's confusing me. And we are still on the way to the global, to the lost support, which is a 73. So let's bring in 73. Where is that? And I think I missed doing something on Solana. I'm just going to go back to Solana in a second. 73 is located at the moment at $400. I've been talking about $400 for quite a while on Aave. You can watch my videos publicly. And risks that we have to get to $400. Well, the first risk is the price action. No red candles so far. And in the bleeding in here, it was all red, but there were some greens, right? So at support, we have some reaction, but Aave is doing the same as Bitcoin. It's just almost not respecting support and resistance, at least on a weekly basis. Maybe if we go to the daily, we're going to see some reactions. Yeah, true. But on the weekly, no reaction. It crosses everything. Boom, 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 boom. There's no move to the downside, respecting resistance. There's just some wicks, and that is not enough. So risk number one is getting some pullback in here. And of course, a 50% pullback is $290. So that should hurt. And pain is good for opportunities for longs. This area in here is not great opportunity for long as it is. It can carry on. It can get straight to $400. That doesn't mean that I'm going to just jump blindly after so many weak candles in the green. But we still have headroom to go into that $400. Longs versus shorts have broken out, and they are well ahead on the way to the top of the percentile band, which is at 85. This one in yellow is at 75, and we're at 66. So at least we have another 10 points for longs to jump on here. Is starting to make more noise on the socials, contrarian to Ethereum, Sui, and Solana that are on this end in here. And that is, of course, thanks to the performance that we are seeing in here. Let's go back to Solana. And I didn't look at the longs versus shorts because they are quite overheated. I covered that in the video this morning. We are at higher levels that we were on the 25th of November. And at that point, we let's see, across all this double top, we were around the levels of 71, more precisely 65, and now we are at 66, and we are very close to the top percentile at 67. Just 2 more points, and we get just too crowded environment for Solana, and that makes sense. It means that halfway through to the top, we have already captured a lot of longs. Not so many retail, but a lot of longs. So we, at some point, we need to get a pullback in here. And I'm tired of saying that, but It's really truth. We need a pullback. It's healthy. It's not because I need the pullback or I don't need it. I have already Solana, but I don't like just seeing price action with pretty much only green candles. Um, Ethereum is against resistance at 2.7. It's against resistance on the RSI. It is right there at resistance on the longs versus shorts, coming back for another attempt to break out. I'm trying to summarize very quickly this one because I just covered it today. On the socials is also very low, so that's an opportunity, but the way we are here is an area that we need to pay attention. Are we really, really going to enter? And if we do enter the range of 2.7, what's going to happen when we get to the red line? Because at some point we need to see some cool down as well on Ethereum after this massive green candle weekly that we had there. And on Aave, I forgot to do liquidations. I don't think I have Aave here, so I'm gonna go straight to CoinGlass. Aave 3 months. Mm, 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 mm. Right. So we have some short liquidations at around 274, and below our risk is at the $200, which is psychological level as well. And we did kind of a retesting here. We did some ascending retest, but we left this liquidity behind. And I think if we manage to get a pullback this week on Bitcoin, I think the 200 is doable. And if we get there, I will say it's an opportunity. It all depends if the pullback is just Bitcoin going back to the median against general markets that are in the red, Bitcoin is in the green, and there's usually some sort of balancing out of things to recouple. If we get that as part of that context, we can get to $200. If it's general markets producing a big crash against that weekly resistance that we've been talking about, and we get a deeper rejection with an expansion of the VIX, then it's more than 200. Probably the 150 is doable, particularly for Aave, that is very volatile. It's not a bad coin. It's just it's the nature of the coin. It's okay. It's a great coin, actually, great project. Let's go to SUI. Socials is very low. We are at support on the longs, not very overcrowded. We have reclaim on the weekly that support in here. We are looking for a move like this. If we were to repeat past performance, we already did once in here, and we were calling for that, getting into the top. We say, what if we are going to do something like this? And we did precisely that. Now we're saying, what if we do something like that? Let's see if we get further into the forecast to get into 80. If we get into 80, price should get very, very high. Let's see how high is that, just to get a range. 80 is 8.9, almost $9. So that is a decent rally. Well, let me double check that. Let me double check because I might be reading the wrong. I say 80. Here I have a 73 from before. Yeah, it's 8.9. It's correct. Let's look at the liquidation levels. I'm pretty sure that now I do have it in the swing chart. Yeah, sweet. And whoa, there's an indecision candle in here. That's a daily candle. It's been up and down. There's an indecision on whether we are going to go for that liquidity of the 4.3 that we talked about this morning. That liquidity starts at 4.3. It peaks around there as well. And then it drops dramatically into $4.748. Below the price, yes, there is some fun as well for the longs to get liquidated. The highest level is probably around the 2.7, but that's including the 3x. You can see it like that. If we exclude the 3x from that there, I can also exclude it from here, and then we get everything in sync. Still, the $3, that psychological level is currently our closest, highest risk. The 1.5 is there, but we need Bitcoin really to bleed big to get there, or really things to escalate with the hack. If they discover something that affects SUI or involve SUI, then we can get that deeper move. Remember that part of what's going on in here is the overreaction as well. Well, I'm calling it overreaction, assuming that nothing really big is affecting SUI. If it is, there can be further downside. And actually, yeah, it's defending the 3.8 still. So it could just be FUD for SUI itself and affects just the other dexes. If not, it's tough to say. It will depend on the impact of what's going on with the hack. But yeah, anything is possible. If it's really big, it's impossible to tell, really. I won't do any forecast because it depends on that, on the news. Let's go with the next one, XRP. Gabor says, how Cetus affecting to the alts? What I saw, almost all the alts had fallen a bit when it happened. Yeah, possibly, but that also, if it's discarded, it provides opportunity, of course. Yeah, but it tends to have a negative initial effect. We'll see how big is the event. I haven't properly read all the news, so I'm gonna just stick to technicals now, and then if I check properly the news, I will have a better understanding. XRP is against weekly resistance at 56, right there at the price where we are. Probably 2.4 is that weekly resistance. Socials very quiet, 1.9% versus the highest it's been in this range, which is almost 6%. Longs versus shorts, very close to the area of value. Still, there is room to go for the longs. They need to get tempted to enter late, so we get to higher levels of 70. We've been there in September. Now we are at 49. So yeah, plenty of room to go. In terms of the price, holding that $2 is fantastic. Breaking beyond the 240 is also great. And little by little, we are convincing, price action is convincing me that we can go into the 27. Let's see what's next after that. After the 57, we get immediately the 66 coming in. So let's go and let's see that 66. And did I say 66? Yeah, that's correct. That could bring us back into 3.1. Remember that the highest close we have ever had is around the $3, and this is calling for a 3.1 more or less, and that's just a revenge rally. Many coins have managed to go beyond just the revenge rally, but that is a level to watch out. Once we get done with that, there can be rejection or there can be a reclaim event. If we get the reclaim, fair enough. We go beyond 3.1 into price exploration. Let me read some comment in here. Someone joined the and the question is, I pick up today that XRP has high liquidity and is choice crypto to trade for traditional forex, gold traders, etc. Anybody else aware of that? Darren is asking. Darren, do you want to join? I'm going to let you join. Hi, Darren. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. I can hear you.
Cool. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Hey, thanks for letting me join. It's my first time, so I'm a bit nervous. I've not used this interface before, but hi, everybody.
Yeah, it's good to have you. You were talking about XRP. Do you mind explaining what is your thinking about XRP?
Yeah, I was just watching another trading video earlier this morning. I watch it daily. They rarely talk about XRP, but they did a kind of live trading session, and the trader there said that XRP has a really high liquidity, and in the foreign exchange traders and the gold traders and the kind of old world trading, that's their crypto of choice because of the liquidity and the size. And I thought, wow, I'd not known that before. And does that affect the way the token behaves? And did anybody else know that?
Well, I'm particularly biased towards technicals. I'm not much of a fundamental expert, I will say, just to be fully fair with you. But I've heard that narrative a lot recently.
Okay.
I've been invited to a few times to the Paul Baron Network channel,
Yeah,
and
that's how
Paul
I met
is
him.
a big fan of XRP. He goes to all the events, and yeah, definitely XRP is one of the choices from institutional investors, and all of that at the moment. I don't know the rest of the people. Let me know in the comments if you agree with what Darren is saying. But at the moment, I have to say, XRP is not my choice because of historical reason. I held the XRP for very long, from 2020,
Yeah.
and I managed to get my dream exit, and I promised myself that after that dream exit, I had enough, enough of going to 0.5 to 0.7, 0.5, 0.0 for years. So it's kind of a thing that I wanted to do. But of course, I'm a trader. I shouldn't be thinking like that. Is just something we could say emotional. If you allow me to have some emotions in trading, but I'm seeing some strength on XRP. It's looking good. We can still go into the 66 in here, and if we get there at 3.1, that's gonna attract a lot of people. You can see that at the low end, only 2% of the people across all social networks are currently talking about XRP. And with XRP getting into 3.1, I pretty much guarantee you that that's going to spike to 5, 6, 7%. Let's see what is the highest. Well, yeah, the highest is 6%. And if we get there, there can be a lot, it can become a lot more attractive for retail and all of that, and at that point we can get some price exploration beyond the $3, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
And
joining.
thanks for all you do as well. Really appreciate
No worries. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
it. Bye.
So that is XRP, and I think I'm missing to do just some liquidity pools on XRP. Let's have a quick look. uh, 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 uh. Let's remove that red from there. So we have some liquidation pools at 2.7. It's very similar to what Solana is doing as well, that you have a big bucket in here of 8% of liquidity. That kind of slows down at 290. And then we have the big liquidation at 3.4. That 3.4 is in confluence with this move of the completion of the revenge rally at 66 that I mentioned before. So if we get to 3.1, we are very close to that liquidation pool, and that could drive the price beyond that 3.1. Because at the 3.1, what do we have? We have just this pool, but then we have a larger one at 3.4, and that is kind of my motivation for us to get beyond that into price exploration. It's like what do you put to the fish to get it to bite? I don't remember what is the perfect word for that, but that is the thing I'm referring to. I know the word in Spanish, but I'm not going to switch to Spanish at this time. Let's go with the next one, which is PNUT. And I guess this is one of those meme coins, and we got in here I remember what I was thinking about this one. So it's been massively bleeding, but it has formed a bottoming pattern in here, which has already played out. So we are a little bit late to call for that. But if we measure this, it should have gone more or less into 0.5, and it already did. So that's great. Now we have a larger bottoming pattern, and that larger one is pointing towards, I do this, you can call it cheating, but it gives me a range to play with. And how can we get there? Well, we drop the daily to the daily time frame, and we use our imagination. What do you see here? I see a cup and handle. The handle is right there halfway through to this bottom. You see the cap and half form handle towards the 0.5. And from 0.1 to 0.5, that's 0.4, we can get around here. If let's call it this order block of 0.8. That's kind of the target. We haven't broken out. I don't like trading the breakout. So this area of accumulation of 30 cents or around that area is good enough for me. Just bear in mind that the handle can last a little bit longer. You know, if we do that, you get a gift and you still form a handle. And if later you get to 47, or we see weakness at that area and we're not going to break out, we can decide what to do. When you trade the breakout right here, you risk that that can turn into a liquidity hand entering right there. Then they drag you back down and then make the pattern fail. Whereas if you enter at this support and you are wrong and price doesn't complete the cap, you still have the option to go back to average down at the bottom of the cap and then get a rally halfway through and exit break even. So the risk you can see that is less. That's why I prefer not the final breakout of the price. That's usually the trap for retail when it fails, if it fails. Then let's see liquidation pools. I'm pretty sure that I'm only going to be able to get them on the 3 month on CoinGlass. And very little that I can see. There's just this outstanding liquidity at 0.4 and then risk at the bottom. So this is not really helping that much. Let's look at RSI. I'm going to see the RSI on the daily. We have this channel that we defend very well. There's an ascending channel during the bottom information. Then we get a new support that starts increasing. So that tells me that we are accelerating in the momentum. So if we just did jump through this and jump through this, yeah, it's increasing. We are sustaining the move to the upside. And here we have substantially accelerated because we have a new slope holding us. And we have a double bottom pattern with a neck at 60 that should do potentially something similar to one of these. Let me draw it. So we got that area there and that area there, and I don't know why the color is so difficult to see now for you guys. Let me make it brighter. Boom, there you go. And those two areas are basically what I'm looking for if this double bottom plays out for another impulsive move. And so let's see other aspects, like for example the longs have been already push back down 35%. So that could be an opportunity. And we are kind of at support of how many longs come down. Obviously, if we break down, then we get into something more dangerous. But at this level of support, together with being kind of close to the potential bottom of that handle formation, could give some better opportunity than waiting too long until the 50 cents. And if we get back to 20 cents, that is another opportunity because that should be support after all this resistance from before. All right, let's go back to the weekly time frame and let's go with Algorand. Algorand has broken out from here. We have a big target to the upside to 65, or the one extension from Fibonacci. That is because of this, thanks to this big impulsive move of 500% applied to the bear flag that has already broken out. We are holding support at 22. Next resistance is 27. And we reclaim the support on the weekly. And we have a pending rally into, let's say, 67. Let's update it. 67. That is a move into the resistance of 42 cents. Why do I have 42 cents? For historical reasons. That was resistance and support before. And now it's kind of the next thing that comes into the way. Risks on Algorand right now. Socials, too high. Piercing the top of the Bollinger Band on social dominance is a source of concern. Some rallies start with a lot of hype, and then you get something like this. It's source of risk, not guaranteed to get out, okay? There's a big distinction. So this pinch that, and if that could be the perfect area for big holders to take profits there on the expense of all the retail they have grabbed their attention. But also sometimes retail comes in and we start a rally. and then you get another pinch on the way up and another pinch on the way up here. Like, for example, you pinch in here, but then you carry on going higher. So it's just to keep an eye. It's not a call to action. All these things, it gives you context. And if you put it in confluence with other things and you want to get out, well, you can get out. But I think that there is some room in here to go. And also, the longs have been pretty smashed. We had a breakdown in here. We are hovering around the 40s, and we can go into 82. So we are halfway through of as high we can go in terms of longs, and we just call the attention of retail. So that's just a small source of concern, we could say. Liquidation levels, this is Algorand. Am I going to have it? Possibly. ALGO. No, I don't have it. So let's fall back here. ALGO. Cool. And Gabor is saying, somewhere I just read that BTC against Europe or GBP has not reached all-time high yet. I think it isn't matter only interesting. Yep, I read that too. It's a very interesting point. Of course, in Argentina, we get all-time highs pretty much every day, probably in Turkey as well. In US, now is joining the team. I'm just going to make fun. Take it as a joke, not as an offense. Uh, but GBP and Euro are still strong enough to not allow that all-time high. And it depends really on what coin you're using to get the pricing. Um, yeah, but there is an interesting point. It could be the weakness as well of the dollar. Let's see if we go into the indices. Let's see what I mean. Because we just had on the dollar being rejected on the price, although the RSI is pushing up. So I think dollar is gonna have a decent move up, despite all the fears that we are at 99 something, because we have reclaiming here and we haven't put a new low, and the RSI is still pinching that and showing that we are so far today we are still in a healthy breakout retest. We haven't even retraced the momentum more than half, so there's absolute chance that this can still rally. If we get very dangerously low towards 28 on the weekly on the dollar, then we can say, yeah, it's going to continue bleeding, and dollar bleeding is going to help Bitcoin as well. Just wanted to add that. Cool. Let's go into the next, which is Say. This is one of those coins that I'm not liking the price action, just seeing from the distance this chart. I'm not saying it cannot go higher. Of course, it will with the rest of the market. It's all a matter of relative to what other coins are showing in terms of strength. Since it's listed here on Binance, you can see that it has done just lower highs. So I really need a strong reason to think, why are we going to do now a higher high relative to 1-1 if on December, which was really bullish for most of the altcoins, we couldn't take the 114. So that's just my humble opinion. It's not necessarily a forecast. If you know something, if you're amazing for fundamentals and you know about this coin, something is coming in, good for you. We got some bullish patterns in here. We already put this target that is coming from this bottom information, but I think we have a bigger one coming in. So if from the bottom I put a neckline, let's say around here, around 27 cents. Yeah, because we have this high at 28. So I'm going to look for a compromise level at 27. We could be forming an inverse head and shoulder. So you got that, you get this, and then if we complete this with a neckline of 27, you get another decent pattern that could push the price into the breakout area of 40 cents. And then, if we get into 40 cents and we get a breakout in here and we are healthy with other aspects, we could be calling for something new, which is not to just top right there. That's kind of the old kind of behavior. So if we want a recipe to get out of that trap, that could be a recipe. But we got in the way a bunch of challenges. The first challenge is this 52. And the second one, which is very far, is that 74, which is already quite a aggressive target, but is still just a revenge rally, right? That's what lost support, come back and test the same line. With that, I suspect that we can get pretty high. The immediate one is 52, and this one is, let's say 72, 52, 72. Let's go and let's place here a band 52 and 72, just like that. And 52 is at 30 cents, more or less, a little bit below. Yeah, 30 cents. 30 cents is the first initial resistance. The second resistance is around 70 cents. Let's call it like that. And it's coinciding with the order block that sold off in here. You just go there. If you go a little bit further into 74 cents, I'm pretty sure that there is here a huge liquidation pool of all the shorts that enter with 5x and less and more, I will say. I'm not sure. When was this? This is about 168 days ago. So that's more than 3 months. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get it in here. And I don't have say here. Do I? I would really like that they add all the altcoins on trading different. That would be amazing. Let's go with say here. And we got some liquidation levels at 27 and 28 and 29. And the risk, the largest one at the moment is 16. And we have a pattern of bouncing around the same trend line. So every time I see that for a sustained time, like a channel up and widening, I always think that that is the recipe for eventually breaking that down, regardless if we continue higher after that. But it's kind of the typical bearish pattern, in my opinion, that is just looking at this small fragment there, but magnified. Um, well, if it did that, if we hold the 22, that is an area of value to accumulate together with the bottom, because those are the areas that we are using as a bottom information for accumulation, for less risk. Then we get the neckline at 26, next target 31, and finally the 40 cents of coming from the, sorry, the 30 cents coming from the other side. Cool. Next one is Chainlink that has broken out from this pattern. It's got targets way beyond where we are. So let's go first into price action. So we reclaimed the 13 that was support before. We are on the way on the resistance at 20 cents. That was resistance in here after a recovery as well. And after that, we have the highs of March in 2024. That is 22, 23 cents. And let's see the RSI that has broken out and is getting closer to 58. That is probably gonna come at around $19. Socials are still cool, and we are very cool in terms of longs and shorts. So we just bounced off an area of massive value at 26. What was the price at that moment? Well, that was precisely the bottom at $10. So you can see how valuable it is to keep an eye on longs versus shorts. So you pinch that percentile that was pinched in May 2022, and you're really in an area that you are taking advantage of something that no one is seeing. And that is coming back from a breakdown into that potentially resistance at 52. If market continue in the green, I'm pretty sure that we can reclaim that and go into the top of the range for longs and shorts. Let's go and see Chainlink here. Let's do it with this. Let's push it to the, oh, only 1 hour. Okay. That's not a great time frame. I don't think we're going to see a lot with the 1 hour. And liquidation levels, let's remove the red. And we are already taking a lot of liquidation levels. So it's on the 1 hour. So it's not comparable to the charts I was showing you when we were on daily or for hour. The 10x's have their risk at 14, but that's the beginning of the rally, so that makes sense. And all the shorts in here have already been taken. To the upside, there is not much. But remember, don't compare this and say, oh, there are no liquidation levels relative to how many there are in SUI, because that one was a 4 hour long-term chart. This is a short-term. So this only includes liquidity from this area in here, but we don't see anything beyond that. And there must be bigger levels around the 20. And we can even speculate a bit on those. Where are those levels? So I'm going to tell you, probably there are liquidation levels, well, at the 20, which we already know, at the 28, and at the 31. The size of those levels, that is the part I ignore, and we need a little bit more of that heuristic software to tell us where they are. But they are going to be located there, and I suspect that they are big, and they're going to track the price. Okay, so we got that level. Hopefully, we can reclaim the 58 to go beyond the $20. What else can we do? Oh, we got these bullish targets, if you want to know. So the extension of 1 is 32, the extension of 1.6 is 47. Sum is saying Nasdaq and S&P started the day on the green. Hope this can help in continuation today. And remember, that comment there was also my assumption a few days ago. And there can be days where S&P and Nasdaq goes into the green, and Bitcoin kind of gives those gains back into S&P and Nasdaq. And I was wondering, why is that happening? Okay, it's not just decoupling. Remember that now people are investing in S&P, and they're flipping things, stocks, between Bitcoin and the stock market. So they're kind of doing, spread trading, and moving their gains now on Bitcoin. They can move them back into Nasdaq because it's pumping, or whatever. Try to flip those things. It's not just against the altcoins now. They're doing it against the stocks, thanks to the ETFs, thanks to MicroStrategy being in the big markets. So that could be also the reason why sometimes we see them moving like that. Of course, there's also the theory of we're becoming gold, and therefore it's a safe haven. There are fears in the market, and we're kind of joining that upside momentum with gold. So when it comes to Chainlink, I think I cover everything. Let's go with S, which I have very little price action, but I'm just going to say that I don't like what's going on in here with the price action, and neither with the RSI. We have held 50 cents, which is okay, but we have a decent breakdown. I think the last time we made a video, we were aiming to break that 61 resistance, and instead of that, we went to 49. It's not that big of a drop. It was probably just 20%, but many other coins during this period, they have done very bullish things. So what's going on with S? I don't know. There must be something in the fundamentals, or something that spook the holders, uniquely applying at the moment to this particular coin. But it's good that it's holding 50 and a rally into 56. At that point, we need to keep an eye as well with a rally into 57 on the end of the daily RSI. Um, Longs are at the moment of the a little bit overextended. The area of value was 46 around these lows, and following the trend as well. If you look at this is giving you kind of a trend of where you are in a position of advantage, and that was around 50 cents. That was the entry according to longs and shorts, and that together with the double bottom on the daily RSI. So let's go with AVAX. Let's drop it back to weekly, and AVAX needs to complete the rally to 57. I think we did some calls in here with the price. First, we had a double bottom, then an extended double bottom with a neckline at 23 with a target to 31. And we came back for a retest at 20 something, and we are reclaiming that level. And hopefully with AVAX, we're going to get into 32 because that's kind of the technical target at the moment. If you want more like longer term, based on the assumption of getting a altcoin season eventually, so that is calling for 54 and 78 based on this Fibonacci extension. The RSI says that we should get some resistance at 57. Let's get that number. 57. What is 57? 57 is around $30, so it's pretty close, just $5 higher, and we're gonna see what happens in there. Keep an eye. If we reclaim that, is extremely bullish. From 57, we're just in the middle of the range of RSI. We have plenty of room to go, although I will keep an eye with this descending momentum in there. So if we cross that 57, watch out for that. If we get a global breakout of 61, then we can continue higher. But whenever I see the momentum coming down with each of these waves, then I get a little bit spooked as soon as we get there. And if we cross it, great, I continue to hold. Cardano is doing everything that's possible to reclaim the lost support. If we do, then we have a big upside potential, potentially within the range up until 88, which probably is a crazy target. But again, reclaiming this is going to definitely contribute to complete the double bottom with a neckline of 1.1 and a target of 1.8. Fibonacci extensions is going to give us some targets of $1, 158, golden pocket at 228. And let's see the target of getting into 86. I think I always show it is a lot of hopium there. 88. That's a mind-blowing price of $4 at the moment. Moving target, but we will keep an eye on that if we manage to break that 53. Longs versus shorts are in the area of quiet, but not so quiet after a period that it called a lot of attention with that rally into the neckline that we have recently. This one, thanks to Trump. And longs versus shorts are pretty cool. They are not overheated yet, but neither are in an area of extreme value for Cardano. And let's go into liquidation levels. This one is going to be a daily. So that is the double bottom we've been talking about. And you got that area of extreme liquidity, which I always use as the argument to complete the double bottom. So if this 1-2 can continue attracting the price up and get to the neckline and take the liquidity, we are basically breaking out from a double bottom that has a huge target of doubling to the upside. So that's kind of the setup I like with Cardano at the moment, but we are not there yet. Remember, I don't wait for this to get there. I enter in areas of accumulation at the lower end when we are starting to build the first smaller double bottoms in the low range of the RSI with little longs and all of those areas of confluence. I don't call to wait until 116 because at that point it can fail. Let's go with Degen. And well, Degen has had already kind of a V recovery in here, which completely failed and came back to where it came from at the same lows. So the question is it going to form something like this? I don't know. I think I have never done TA of this coin. I don't even know what it is. It's first time I look at this. And we got some descending trend line that I'd be tempted to place it against the highest closes, in which case we have a breakout. If we put it in the highest prices, then we have some headroom still until 13. We have a hidden bullish divergence right there at the bottom, and longs are accumulating, getting into 70. So careful with these setups in here for an entry. If you want to just hold and see what happens and run it with some trailing or any way that you can use to manage your risk, that's fine, because this sort of meme coins attract a lot of people and they can get very overheated in the longs versus shorts, and that can rally and rally and rally, and eventually there's a rug pull, which you definitely need to be prepared for. The RSI shows that there's been a breakout and is currently in progress, but we don't have any point of reference on the weekly. So if we drop it to the daily, you can use this point of reference to defend the most bullish portion of this rally. So break this 60 and then you lose one level. And at that point, you can decide to take some profits um, and then re-add in an area of support, the typical thing. But monitor this on the daily is a great idea to defend a rally when you are already in a winning position. Let's go back to daily. Let's go with ends. What time is it? So just 5 minutes before ending. We got a call in here with ENS with a target from before to 51 towards the top of this order block. And what else? We had a breakout, a call to get into 68. Probably that is what's calling this. Let's look at healthiness of the move. Well, still very quiet. You can see if we put a horizontal line like this, we're around the lows of minimum social dominance. In terms of long shorts, we are kind of in the lower area, not as low as in 2023, but an area of value despite that. And we reclaim support that's bullish. Let's see what's the next level of resistance that is coming in. So at 30, definitely we have resistance. That has been resistance all the way there and support. But before that, that's what I'm looking for. We could say that we have a mild resistance there because there was support multiple weeks. That then after that it got lost. So at $24, it's not super amazing level, I will say. It's not super accurate. You get a compromise in here with multiple tests and there and right now at 24. So I will suspect that if we manage to get the 24, then we clear the way to 31. Kaspa, let's have a look. Kaspa is having a breakout. It had the breakout on the weekly, beginning of May, and a retest on 12th of May. That is, each one is one separate week, and now we have potentially a higher high, ideally a higher high with the close of this week. And that's great after this rolling over to come back to somewhere where we can see from the distance that there is kind of a neck in here with a lot of price action. I don't have the volume profile, but I can by heart tell you that it's probably looking like that, and that area there probably has the point of control somewhere in here, and we're battling with the point of control to reclaim the top and the bullish part so we can do something significant again. And with this breakout, potentially that is what is incoming. Let's see how overheated we are. We are at 48. We tend to peak at 56, but I'm going to consider this invalid. 99 probably is just a listing issue. And socials is on the low end, again, very low end. It's not calling a lot of people. So looking for support to add areas at 98, 79. You're not going to get 54 very likely unless Bitcoin really does something bad. But, that's a gift. All these levels below to continue into 14.6. Cool. And I think the last two, which I'm going to go very quickly, is just CRV and ONDO. CRV is right there at the resistance that we went on March 2024. We have higher highs in December, so that's positive. That indicates that we can do more than that, and we have a breakout that is looking pretty healthy on the weekly. We're defending this. If we do it more like that, we get a global support, I will say. I was tempted to do it in the other way, but I will say that that's just a local support at the moment, but not very. I'm gonna delete it. I don't like it. And the only thing that now it's a bit of a concern is the socials being on the top end, right? And let's see what happened here, 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 and here in the price action. So that is the peak of the social was 2 weeks before the top of the price. In here, the peak of socials was 1 week before the top. This one didn't call much socials. It peaked in this candle and it carried on one more week. In here, we are peaking. So we could get another week still, according to past performance, and get another green candle after the peak of socials, just based on past performance, not a guaranteed, of course. Long shorts, I will say they're about slightly above the median. I will say, if you focus on all of this, the tops are at 65, the bottoms are around 21, and we are at 49. So 2/3 towards the top, if you allow me. Looking healthy still. Now we'll see how we react to that 81 resistance and if we can carry on into 127. If we just did that, that is nothing. That is just sideways, getting into 1-2. We need to get further away here. And let's say if we get to the PNR, to the 80, which is a level that I always monitor. If we get to 80, that takes the price into 186. And there is a confluence there with 2021 support before entering the bear market. So that will be an interesting area to test if we carry on with these higher highs that we are having in here. We can get somewhere there. Definitely, it's looking bullish. Right, ONDO, last coin today. And okay, we defended that in April. I think I mentioned that in the previous video. We got resistance at 112. It's been 1-2 weeks that we got rejected. We went back to support at 89, and now we are halfway through to go back to test 1-1. What's going on with the RSI? We are getting into the weekly resistance, the revenge rally. That getting there is just a move into 54, which I assume is located around 1-1. Let's confirm that. 1-1. And where are you? Oh, I hate when that happens. Some pricing is breaking my indicator, but I guarantee you it's somewhere around 1-1 because it's just one more point on the other side. Socials at the very low end on ONDO. People lost interest, and longs versus shorts around the median, so nothing too overheated, just the average amount of longs and shorts in this particular coin. Guys, so this concludes this private session with the elite members, and this video is going to go live later tonight or tomorrow morning, and everybody's going to be able to watch it. And if you are watching this video publicly in YouTube and you want to join these sessions and get to choose the coins that you want to do TA and ask questions live in a small group on a weekly basis, if that sounds great to you, well, there's a link appearing in the video, and there's a link in the description as well to join my Patreon. You need to join as elite member. Okay, see you next week, guys. Thanks so much for joining today as well, and Darren, thanks for joining me as well in the live. Everybody can do that next week if you want to do that. You know how to do it. See you next time. Bye bye. Take care.